Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to show you how I make my version of a kind of popular South Asian dish called Mutter Paneer. And the reason I say my version is because I'm making a few shortcuts here that are not strictly traditional. Like, I'm not getting out like all the spices. I'm just using a jar of tandoori spice, which works just fine. I'm going to make, and I'm using canned tomatoes, but they're San Marzano, which means they're awesome. And instead of using cream, I've got Malai Paneer, which is made with half and half instead of regular milk, for those of you in the know. And if you can just get regular paneer, by all means, add a little cream at the end to like finish it up and give it a really nice touch. What I really love about this dish is that you can make it in stages in advance. Like, you can cook the whole thing and basically get all the components, get the onions, the tomatoes, the cashews all going, have it pureed, set on the side, fry the paneer, like the whole 9 yards, and just basically put it together right before supper, which is kind of awesome. And I haven't got basmati rice. I got whatever I've got rice, which will work just fine, so I'll show you that at the end. What you want to do is get the paneer frying before you do the rest of your prep. And if you don't know what this stuff is, it's kind of fresh cheese that's really cool, and it's got good protein. So if you want to start laying off the meat, this is a good choice. It's also reasonably inexpensive. I mean, compared to meat, for sure. Okay, now this, if you're not used to this, get a larger knife or a cleaver. Be very careful. You don't want to lose control of the knife while you're doing this. I just find it the fastest way to cube it, because this can start wobbling. So be very careful, or just do them one by one, okay? Okay, so once that nasty bit's out of the way, then you can just stack these up and start slicing off cubes. Okay, I don't have any ghee. I'm just going to use a bit of oil so the cubes don't stick right at the beginning. They've got a fair amount of fat in them, which is going to come out in the frying process, and that's what I'll do the onions in. And I'm just going to add cold water to the cup and a half of peas so they start defrosting quicker. Just get the onions ready and chopped. Chop the onions into fairly small pieces, but this will be going through a blender after, so, or a food processor if you've got one. Okay, so after the onions are chopped, give that a little bit of a toss. Now, you don't want the heat too high, but as you can see, some of them are starting to brown, and some of them are starting to melt just a little. So you want that nice kind of brown, gooey thing without them losing their shape and running into a solid mass. If you're unsure how to proceed with this, just fry it at a lower heat and you won't have any problem at all. Okay, that's looking like it's nearly ready to come out. There's a lot of browning pieces. I can see oil coming out of the paneer, plus you can have that like sizzling noise, so you know you're set. Now, it's important to drain this as much as you can, because what you're going to want to be doing is you're going to want to fry the onion in this oil. There you go. See? This makes a lot of food, so feel free to sneak a piece if you want. Yeah, that's why you got to catch it when it looks not totally cooked, because when it gets closer to the end, it'll cook pretty quickly. Okay, just set that to the side. Some recipes will tell you to cook each component separately. That's up to you. Now, I like the cashews really cooked, so what I do is I put them in with the onions, because these also have some fat in them, which will come out and help the frying process. So you can either put like that little I like 2 handfuls. There you go. These I will turn down just a bit and deal with the tomatoes. I always use San Marzano. They're a bit more, but the taste is a whole order of magnitude higher. If you can't get these, just get some peeled tomatoes, preferably Roma. Or you can just get any kind of diced tomatoes. But this makes an incredible amount of food. So even if you're paying an extra $1 or $2 for the can of tomatoes, it will be worth it in the end. And yes, I get my hand in here because I want all the juice. Be careful, there's usually a sharp bit at the top. I do this in a bowl because if you try chopping these up in a pan with like a fork or whatever, it's just a mess. And if you do these calmly with a glove and your fist, feel free to think of your boss when you're doing this if that helps you through the day. Yeah, you want to squeeze as much of the chunks out as you can, but the blender will take care of this as well. Now you can put a bit more oil if it looks dry because you don't want the onions caramelizing, you just want them translucent, and you're going to need some oil in here to fry up the spice mixture. If you buy boxes of spice mix for paneer, which you can do, it tells you things like add 50 grams of oil. I have no idea how to do that, even after all this time, so I just kind of like put in what I need. It's good enough to take out now. This will not actually drain very much oil. If anybody's going, oh my God, look at all that oil he's putting in. Well, next time you buy something out of the freezer section, check the back for the fat content and then we can talk, all right? At least this is healthy oil. All right, just a bit of onion left in the bottom, don't matter. Okay, I'm not going to put too much, couple of tablespoons. It spreads out really quick when the pan is hot. Now, I'm using tandoori paste because I like it. Now, I use like a couple of big spoons like that. That is probably 2 tablespoons right there. And I'll put a bit more. If you don't like it as spicy, put less. It's fine. And if you don't have tandoori, tikka masala, vindaloo, also works extremely well with this. You might want to turn the heat down just a tad. You want the spice mix to cook but not burn. This is critical. There we go. And if you say, why can't you just throw in the spice mixture? Well, your guts won't be happy, and I'll just leave it at that. All spices actually should be cooked first, especially spice pastes like this. Now, you're starting to get an idea. You can see that. And I'll zoom so you can see it if you're trying to get an idea of when is this ready. There. Okay, you start to see these little islands of oil coming out. That's a good sign the spice mixture is getting to where you want it to be. And if you're antsy about it burning, this is cooked enough, okay, because you're not going to be an expert at this when you start, so don't risk it. How you rapidly stop the cooking process is just toss the tomatoes in. This I'm going to turn right down because you just want it to simmer, and you prefer actually to do this uncovered, but not so bad that like it's spraying tomato sauce all over your nice stove. And it's just about done, and it's simmering away. You don't want this to boil down, but you do want to see these little streaks of these little dark spots of oil before you turn it off. And what you're going to do is just take this off the heat and let it cool down completely with the rest of it, and then you're going to pass it through the blender before you finish cooking. So I got that cooling, the tomatoes cooling off on the counter. I am going to add the onions and cashews now, so all the flavors get to mix up nice while this cools off. Now, if you're concerned about the spices getting into your food processor, by all means, just leave that part out till the very end. I do it this way because I clean my right after, and I find the flavors develop better if you do the spices earlier. Okay, I got my cute little blender here. Oh, look, the stove matches the blender. Yeah, this will take, it's a cute little thing, but it takes a while to do batches. So I'll just give you an idea of the first one and then get the rest done in the frying pan. And if you've got one of these little ones, don't fill it up more than halfway. Always pulse it first. And if you can smell the motor on yours, give it a rest for a while. Okay, so it's all blended up, and as you can see, that makes a fair amount once the paneer and the peas are in here. And it's quite filling and really tasty if you actually make it and taste the cold sauce. It's surprisingly good. Okay, so get that heating up over medium heat. Some of it might have stuck together. When it cooled down, that will sort itself out. Drain the peas and add them. That looks a little thick now because you have to bring the mixture to room temperature before you can blend it. So I'll just pop a lid on here and give it a few minutes to heat up. If it's looking too thick, then you can add a little bit of water at a time. It's been going for about 10 minutes or so, because at this stage, all of it's cooked. You're just essentially heating it up. And that's way too thick. So I've got a cup of water here, and I'm not going to toss it all in. Basically just put in a bit, stir it up. And what you're looking to do is get a consistency of sauce that is good for you. And yes, I know, for purists, I should have pureed it much better than this. It still tastes really good. Well, what do you know? The whole cup went in, and it's just nice. So I'll put the lid back on that, let it heat up again, and then I can serve it. Yeah, the consistency is really good, and I can tell from the smell, and you can see the steam coming off. It's ready to serve. The reason I'm doing it here like this is just so you get a good idea. Like, basically, some rice like that, and 2 scoops of that, and you've got dinner. Okay, and you can see how much left is there. You get another 4 servings just like that. So it makes 5 servings altogether. If you're making this for yourself, well, you got food for 5 days. And it keeps really well because of the spices and the fact that everything is cooked and most of it's vegetables. Yeah, so that's how I make Mutter Paneer. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again.